Welcome to Grow Fast, Grow Smart, the PI Playbook by Accelerator, the podcast exclusively designed to help personal injury law firms reach their full potential and serve their clients better. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the PI Playbook, where we focus on top marketing and operations strategies for personal injury law firms. Brought to you by CJ Advertising and Accelerator Law Firm Consultants, this podcast is designed to help PI law firms grow fast and grow smart in all areas of their practice. I'm your host, Stephanie Koehler, Associate Director of Digital Content with CJ Advertising. In this episode, we will hear firsthand about community marketing initiatives and how they can help PI firms. Joining us today are Nicole Cerullo and Rachel Latson, two marketing superstars from Joye Law Firm in South Carolina. Welcome, Nicole and Rachel. For our podcast audience, tell us briefly about what each of you do at Joye Law Firm. Let's start with Nicole.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having us on today. As you mentioned, Stephanie, my name is Nicole Cerullo. I have been with the Joye Law Firm doing marketing and community relations for just over 11 years. So I've definitely seen a lot of transition and, excited to have my colleague Rachel Latson on the team.
Yeah, and I'm Rachel. I work as the digital marketing director, and I've been here for almost 3 years, but I've been working in legal marketing for a lot longer than that. And so I handle all the kind of digital components and then, delegate some things out, do some things myself, a good mix of both.
Absolutely. Well, I had the pleasure of working with both of you for several years now, and it's awesome. So I'm so thrilled to have you today. Let's get into some community marketing. So first, tell us about the community programs that Joye Law Firm manages. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Joye is very involved in the community. We actually have our charitable campaign called Joy in the Community. And that really all stems from, our partners and their desire to be involved and to give back to the community. Ken's father worked at the post office. His mom was a secretary. Mark Joye's mom was a school teacher. Both of those guys were raised in a community and a church group that, instilled in them the importance of, helping their fellow man. So as soon as they, purchased the law firm, they knew that, in order to be successful, they were going to have to help the people around them. So they installed the Joy in the Community program. We do all kinds of events and support all kinds of organizations throughout the state of South Carolina. Kind of our marquee event is our scholarship campaign. We've been doing that since the 2005 school year. We've given away over $300,000 in college scholarships to students across South Carolina. And the program is going strong, growing every year. We're also very involved with different not-for-profits in Charleston, Columbia, Myrtle Beach, as well as the upstate.
Absolutely. It's so cool. I love that you guys are doing so much. I love that it's part of your firm's culture, really core down to the partners. It's incredibly important. Let's talk about community initiatives as good marketing. So what do you guys do? What do you think about the value of doing these community programs when it comes to law firm marketing?
Yeah. So we have a couple of different goals and reasons that we run these. I mean, one is we do, like Nicole said, we want to give back. It's our culture. But also we understand that, the market for personal injury lawyers, especially in South Carolina, is very full, and we need to find a way to stand out. And so we want to get our brand in front of people, and not just as a direct sell, but also letting them know hey, here's who we are as people. And so we think that it, helps with our overall brand recognition, and, brand sentiment as well.
So when you run a community marketing campaign, let's talk about a giveaway or something like that, a database building program. What are some of the goals that you go in with? What are you hoping to accomplish when you launch them?
Yeah, so primarily we're really looking to gain new signups to our email marketing campaigns. We run a couple of different campaigns, and it's just a way for us to continue to stay in front of our target audience at a pretty low cost way as well. We have a pretty substantial database, and CJ does a great job of helping us keep that database up to date, cleaning it up when we have people who maybe aren't as engaged. And of course, if somebody doesn't want to stay on there, they're free to unsubscribe. But we try to share a lot of good information. And so our goal is really to continue to grow that, because it is a low cost way for us to continue to send out information about, firm events, recent cases, and also just some good information to help people, like what to keep in your car in case of you need roadside assistance or something like that.
And we're so happy to partner with you on those newsletters and emails. That's great to hear. Makes my heart happy. Okay, so let's get into the details about the community campaign. So you guys run these CJ will offer quarterly community campaigns, but what is really so impressive is the way that you have created your own program for this. You choose the topics, you run the campaigns, and then the contacts flow into our marketing database that CJ manages. So for the giveaways, how do you choose the types of campaigns and the prizes you offer? Where do these ideas come from?
So, originally we really thought we need to have these epic prizes. And so we would kind of do a lot of research on who, what big music names are coming to town, and get tickets to those and try and get the best VIP package and the best seats. And we do those sometimes still, but we've really found that it doesn't have to be such a big, crazy prize, because and sometimes we kind of wonder if that might scare people away from entering. They're like, oh man, so many people are going to enter this. I have no chance of winning. And so we've really started to look for some smaller prizes that are still equally as cool. So we have a lot of different fun events around the holiday, different holiday lights or haunted houses that we'll get tickets to, and do a 2 or 4 pack to those. And we also, get ideas from our team too. People will be like, hey, do you guys know this is coming up? And each, week we have a huddle with the team, and every one person from each office shares hey, here's what's going on in our area. And sometimes they have really great ideas as well. And we won't always go with something that's that quick of a turnaround time, but it's oh, hey, next year, let's make sure to earmark that. So we have a list of kind of running ideas that we think we could go with.
And what I love about that, even just working with folks at your firm, is that it's deeply connected to the community. It's extremely local, right? You're looking at what's happening in your community and responding to it. And so excellent work. That's really cool. When you launch your campaigns, what tools or platforms do you use to promote them? So you've picked a prize, you've got timeline, you've got things set up. How do people learn about your community campaigns?
Nicole is really the brains behind the operation, but I do a lot of the logistical work. And so we have a template on our website of just a really simple landing page where we can have a quick blurb, the form that someone can fill out, which, we typically are asking for their name, email address, phone number, zip code, sometimes date of birth, especially if it's, to a beer fest or something like that, where we need people to be of a certain age. And then we have our, terms and conditions on there as well. And that's a really simple page that we can repurpose anytime we have a new campaign coming up. And then we reach out to CJ and say, hey, can you integrate this, into our mailing list? And so that we can, have those people going directly into the mailing list, which makes it a quicker turnaround time so that they can receive our next emails. But also so that they can get an auto responder email that says, hey, thanks for entering the giveaway. And this is, a good way to have people some kind of proof. There's nothing worse than entering a giveaway online and thinking there's no way this is even a real giveaway. Nobody's ever going to check my entry. So they've already got a direct line to us because they can reply to that and say hey, have you chosen a winner? And people do that. And it also kind of primes them to understand that they are going to be receiving emails from us, which is part of, the disclaimer when they sign up, that they see that they're going to be receiving that.
Mm-hmm. And there's a data hygiene component there because emails that bounce from that autoresponder don't make it into your larger program. So therefore are, kind of helping the overall health of the email program. And I also know if they click on them, so I can can confirm that they're real people. So it's good to do. Yeah. So, and then when you promote them, are you doing like organic social? Do you, how are people finding out?
Yeah, so we do post everything on organic social, but we also usually put a decent amount of paid spend behind those, typically on Meta, sometimes on other social platforms like TikTok. We've had kind of varying success, especially depending on, who the audience is that's really going to be interested in that prize. We also have tried out, and I think that's kind of the big thing, is just like trying different things and seeing what sticks. And so there's some tools that, allow you, if a person leaves a specific comment on an Instagram post, then you can like send them an automated DM, which has the link so that, they're not having to like click the link in bio every time, which is a little clunky sometimes. And, the fewer clicks, the better, as far as like getting somebody to actually sign up. Nicole might want to speak to a little bit more about what we do outside of social media as well.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, so depending on, like, for our higher profile campaigns, we've been leveraging our relationships with our media partners to have them get it out in front of their audiences, both online and over broadcast and cable television. So that's been really helpful. And, just also reaching out to organizations that we've worked with in the past or past winners to get them to, push the new contest giveaway to, their friends and family. It's really amazing how quickly that word of mouth spreads, especially when it's a fun campaign that, people can feel good about sharing. I think the typical content that personal injury attorneys are putting out is, rather dire and very serious. And this just gives us an opportunity to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more shareable, and, find a way to kind of embed ourselves within the community so they're getting familiar with the name, but not necessarily in such a serious way.
It's interesting that you reach out to past winners. Do you find that to be a receptive audience? Do you ask them to do any posting on about their win or afterwards? Like, are they like little influencers? That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a nascent campaign, but yeah, we are starting to try, if you will, to create an army of influencers of, people who have interacted with the brands, who have actually won our prizes. Because, I think it speaks to what Rachel had mentioned earlier. A lot of times people are very suspect if this is real. Is there really a prize? So, if they're able to see, a photograph of a friend or family member, standing in our office, smiling, holding their prize, it certainly speaks to the legitimacy of the campaign and also, leverages that halo effect in the community for our brand.
So
Yeah, and
good.
sometimes we don't even have to ask. I notice like some of our winners will be like our more frequent commenters on social media, especially if there's like another prize that's won. They're like, yeah, you won too. It's really cute.
So cool. Rachel, you had mentioned automated DMs. Do you do social community management? So do you have a tool that you use to do that? Are you guys in there responding to comments? What does it look like on the back end of your social platforms?
Yeah, so the automated ones, I really just kind of let that run on its own. It's just a pretty quick setup. Currently, we're using ManyChat, and it's fairly inexpensive. And you just kind of set up your campaign. If somebody says this or comments on this particular post, please send that. It's kind of funny just being, a normal human watching social media in general on my own free time. I definitely have noticed people take advantage of that with brands. So I do think it's important to be constantly up on your community management, because people will see what the code word is and will, maybe leave like a not so nice comment, but say that, and then get the automated response. And it makes you look a little silly. We haven't run into that personally, but maybe I just gave somebody the idea. But and as far as other community management, I sometimes just spend time like in the platform managing them. We do use like a social media scheduling tool. I'm not going to name it because it's honestly not my favorite right now, and we're probably going to move away from it soon. But yeah, those tools can be very helpful, and we have used some tools that we've liked better in the past. And just going into the platforms themselves, I do have all the accounts on my phone, and sometimes we'll be like, oh, this is a good opportunity to respond to somebody.
It's interesting you mentioned kind of the social media tool and stuff like that. I know that sometimes with ads that we've run for social campaigns, we will have gotten negative comments. In my mind, one we ran a few years ago for gas cards, got some interesting conversation going about how much gas card is enough gas card for someone's particular car. And in some ways that engagement was really interesting, but also we did really set up some filters to kind of manage comments around campaigns. It's most of the time on our end when we run campaigns, they're really positive. Everyone is super happy, but it's nice to, I think firms should know that there are some tools to do some automated community management for you. It's cool.
Yeah, Nicole set up a pretty robust list of like words to watch for before I came along. So that was very helpful to have those in there.
So then you guys have like you have got community marketing and digital marketing, web, social, all these different pieces. What are some collaborations that you guys have done related to community? What synergies are there between the two of you for related to community?
Oh, Rachel and I are like two peas in a pod. We finish each other's sentences. We spend most of our time on the same wavelength. So it's definitely a beautiful synergy between us, but, we're also very lucky to work with, some great vendors and agencies. Obviously, CJ Advertising has been a major partner, not only in helping to facilitate a lot of the community marketing that we've been doing, but also just, helping support some of the efforts, that we do in-house. Because even though we are a small but mighty team, there are a lot of gaps in what a small team is able to accomplish. So it's really important to be able to have, not only the skills and expertise to lean on, but also just, that support system, those, people who are touching so many other firms and so many other campaigns to know, what's going on with those campaigns, what's going on with those communities, because there's always so much, that we could learn from each other. And, we always joke internally that, we haven't come up with any of these ideas. We've just copied somebody else's ideas. And, and that's been pretty successful for us. We're going to keep doing it. And, having that network of ideas to work off of has just been a real blessing.
Well, I hope your advice today inspires other firms to copy your great ideas and start their own initiatives or expand them. So let's talk about the things you kind of experienced since you've been running your community marketing program. So what is something surprising that you've discovered since starting?
Yeah, so this has been a little bit frustrating, and luckily we haven't run into it on some of our more recent campaigns. But there are not so nice people out there in the world who make their living by scamming others, and giveaways seem to be ripe for scammers to come along. And what they tend to do is impersonate the firm and will comment on the posts and say like, oh, you've been selected as the winner, like click this link. And then the link starts to ask for, their personal information, like their bank account information. And luckily, I don't think we've had too many people really fall for it that we know of. I know of one situation in particular that Nicole had to do some damage control on. And it actually ended up turning into like a better situation at the end of the day. But those filter lists are really important because they do help to block out people who are showing up. And then of course, we report these people as soon as they show up, but like scammers are very agile and they change up their tactics constantly. So definitely, I think having some kind of tool or just eyes on your campaigns all the time to make sure that you're paying attention, because it does not take very long for them to leave a comment on every single comment that's on there. And, we love the comments engagement from people, but we don't want those particular people are typically the ones that are targeted. And so we also, whenever we send out the autoresponder, we have information on there about, hey, like Joye Law Firm will never contact you via social media if you won. This is when we're announcing the winners. If you suspect any scamming activity, please contact us. So we try to let people know that like, hey, like be on the lookout for this. And I think, as these types of promotions go on, people get more wise to what's going on, but there are definitely a lot of less internet savvy people who could be taken advantage of, and that is the last thing that we want to happen.
It's actually going to pitch into one thing that we found rather surprising is be mindful when you're selecting your prize that the prize itself is transferable. We found for a lot of like VIP meet and greets, oftentimes the purchaser of the ticket that must match the ID of the person who's trying to redeem that ticket. So luckily we hadn't launched really any campaigns yet, but we were ideating about, purchasing some VIP experiences with different musical artists until we read the fine print. So do be mindful of that your tickets are transferable before you start, or if not, be prepared to be in a position to make it right. Because I think that, even as Rachel mentioned with that, tense situation where someone was almost, scammed, if you're doing something in your firm's name, you need to be prepared to go to the mat, to the community that responds to it. So you need to be a warrior for those people. And if they get scammed, you have to help them out. If you are advertising a prize, you have to give that prize out. So just don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Great advice for firms. All right, going on. So let's get into some of the data and reporting. So when you guys run your campaigns, what are the particular performance metrics or KPIs that you are really tracking and monitoring?
Yeah, so the primary thing that we're looking for, since we are focused on, building our email database, is, what is our cost per individual sign up? And that is, like taking the total cost of the prize, the ad spend, and then dividing it by the number of people that we have sign up, but then also like the true number of signups, because we do have people who, sign up for multiple giveaways. So we already have that person in there. So Stephanie has been very helpful with building out some reports for us to help us really see like the true impact, because sometimes we might get a little excited, like, wow, this was such a great return. And then to know like, oh, some of these people were duplicates, and that's fine. We want people to be able to enter every single giveaway. We don't want to block them from that. But we also want to know like, okay, what is our true cost per sign up, which is really important. Other things, we appreciate the engagement. We do typically see a lot more followers we gain more followers on social media accounts when we are running these giveaways, because people want to be in the know, and they say like, oh, they're running another giveaway. Like, maybe I didn't win this one, but I'll win the next one. And we don't necessarily measure a cost per follower on that. We might should, but currently we're not.
Do you think that these campaigns have positive effects beyond database building? So especially when you do media outreach or something like that, do you think that they have a effect on SEO or site traffic? Is that something that you guys measure, or is it primarily on the kind of organic or the follower side of things?
Yeah, and I'll let Rachel answer the specifics on the SEO function, but just the effect of we do see like an intrinsic lift from the community at whole. When we're doing these campaigns, I'm just thinking on one, we're doing now with the local animal society where, we've partnered to give away spay or neuter certificates, and we're being supported by our local outdoor advertising company. They donated a billboard campaign, and we're also going to be running spots on television. So, we're finding people are becoming aware of the community giveaways, and it kind of gives, that overall boost to our other marketing efforts. And, these community-minded efforts, do seem to connect with people on a more personal level, so that they view our actual call to action advertising, a little bit softer way. And again, I'll let Rachel touch on, some of the, the digital trends that we see from them as well.
So yeah, that's a really good segue, Nicole, into the digital side. So we recently got some insights into Google's algorithm, and we know now that there's a couple things that this can help with. So one, when we have these visitors coming to our website that are engaging, that are not just bouncing right off, they're filling out a form, they're clicking around a little bit, that's kind of signaling to Google that, hey, this website has engaged visitors. They're not just driving a bunch of like traffic that wants to leave. So that's positive for our overall authority, but it also helps drive additional brand searches, which is really huge for helping search engines understand our popularity, credibility, authority, and relevance within our market. And that can, in turn, positively influence our organic rankings. And so, yeah, while it's not like a direct correlation all the time, Google is the long game, and SEO is a very long game. And so we do think this is benefiting us.
we're seeing that increased brand searches for other clients that we run campaigns for too. And it's really interesting because they'll be during especially a short window campaign, and we just like everything will spike, and then there'll be kind of a halo effect for a little while afterwards. So it's interesting. Do you have a campaign success story that stands out? Just something that really went well. You guys were proud with how it turned out. Let's inspire some other law firms.
So we are big sports fans here at Joye Law Firm. And so we dived into a new campaign, an NIL deal, a name, image, likeness, with a linebacker from Carolina who has done super well. And as a part of that, this was our first time doing an NIL deal. We weren't all totally sure what we were going to do. And so Nicole got a whole bunch of really cool Gamecock swag, had him come to our office in Columbia and sign all of that. So that was like another way to kind of hype up our team in Columbia. They got to meet, a college football player. And then we did a giveaway with like a swag bag that was like full of all these really nice signed items. So the prize itself was great. It allowed us to kind of utilize this other campaign that we were already running. We also ran it for a pretty long time because they were doing really great in football. So why not run it for a long time throughout the football season? And it was one of our best giveaways in terms of total signups and cost per signup as well. And then the guy who won the giveaway was like so excited. He like squealed on the phone. It was like, yeah, like I can't wait. I'm like a huge fan. And so it was just really like a rewarding experience all around. It was successful. It was fun for us, and it allowed us to kind of expand on that existing campaign.
Sounds awesome. I love it. Are there any like final thoughts or advice you would share with PI firms who want to pick up and are inspired by the work that you're doing?
Yeah, well, I would definitely encourage any firm that's even thinking about trying it to just jump in and get their feet wet. We started out, we definitely creeped before we crawled. The campaigns that we started out were in no way as sophisticated as what we're running today. And that's, thanks in large part to, the help that we got from CJ Advertising. So if it's not something that you think you could administer on your own in-house, reach out to CJ or reach out to a capable agency that you trust that will be able to help you build out one of these campaigns. Because it really, as Rachel's mentioned, when we compare the cost of this campaign versus the results that we get, it's one of our lower cost marketing efforts. And, there is a heartwarming effort or like a bit that goes into it. I know one of her favorite parts of the job is being able to call people with the good news that they won. And, it's a fun way to, to spend some time, during your day, but it's also a great way to help the bottom line. So just go out there and do it. What about you, Rachel? Do you have any advice for some other firms?
Yeah, I would just echo what Nicole said. It's not too difficult, but if you don't have any in-house capability, like CJ can totally help you get it set up. The only other advice I would give is just to give yourself some time. We've tried to do some giveaways that had a pretty quick turnaround time because we just kind of came into some tickets to something exciting. We were like, oh, we'll run this. And then we really just didn't have enough time to launch the giveaway, get the creative going, get it running, have it running, and then give the people enough time to say like, oh, I got to, take this day off work or something.
I have a question about your pricing. Do you typically give away one prize or multiple prizes? I'm hearing about swag bags. What have you found has been appealing to people?
Ooh, that's a tough question. It really depends on the giveaway. Sometimes the opportunities kind of fall into our lap. We work with some amazing media partners that were able to, score some cool tickets to different holiday events in our markets. So, we opted, we're like, hey, rather than, just give these to our attorneys. We love our attorneys. We make sure that they, that they're taken care of. But, every once in a while, if a freebie comes along, we like to swipe it for marketing and, find a way to, to utilize it to get sign-ups. So, for something like that, that opportunity kind of fell into our lap. For the others, we're a little bit more, choosy on the number of prizes. If we're doing something, statewide, we tend to like to do more than one item, just so it feels, people feel that they have a better chance of being able to get it. But if it's a marquee item, or something, limited quantity like the signed items, that's just going to be, kind of just one major giveaway geared toward one major winner.
Excellent, excellent. Rachel, you mentioned running a campaign for a shorter amount of time. How long do you typically run campaigns? What's kind of the sweet spot that you guys have found?
Yeah, we've been keeping track of our giveaways in a spreadsheet and just seeing, because there's so many different variables. It's hard to say like, oh, this is what's working and this is what's not. But I would say 2 weeks is a decent amount of time. And then like if it is an event, someone is going to give them at least a week from the day that they are contacted until the day of the event. Ideally, maybe a little bit longer too, especially like if they're going to have to, figure out parking or travel or something like that. But with like gift certificates or things like that, we'll do a little bit of a quicker turnaround time. But I would say as far as like the time that the campaign opens to when it closes, I think 2 weeks is a pretty good time frame that we found works well for everything.
You guys have really shared all the information that a firm would need to get started. I hope folks listening are inspired. I'm always so inspired. I've got follow-up questions about how you guys do things because I'm like, wait, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to steal that. So it's been such a pleasure to have both of you here today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, for doing the good work you do for the people of South Carolina and every day for Joye Law Firm. Thank you.
Happy to be here, Stephanie. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Grow Fast, Grow Smart, the PI Playbook by Accelerator. If you like what you heard today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time.